Hi everyone. Yeah, as you might know, I'm Dmitry, and what's probably important to know is that I used to be a developer for most of my career. Like, was doing C, Java, Golang, Node.js, but probably the last 3 years I'm kind of more on the platform side of things, doing all this infrastructure as code and stuff, and then probably some time ago, the security kind of was started to be a big focus on everything that we are doing. So then I could look at what the interaction between security and ops looks like. And then I heard all this DevSecOps, and then I was thinking, where is the dev part? And so that's probably the talk about it. But then I kind of then thought, well, it's big adoption. So I looked at it from the angles of adoptions of Agile and DevOps, which were also like a big changes in my mind. So that's what we're talking about. And yeah, thanks a lot. Special thanks to Kazna, where I'm working, which is part of Mental Group, great company, always supporting me with my talks and other nonsense. And those two dudes, Matt and Alan, who helped me a lot on distilling the Agile and security stuff. So yeah, originally, well, that's a big presentation. I skipped through the lessons of DevOps and Agile. So you're lucky one who will just know straight the answers without all the water in between. And so what's it all about? It's yeah, basically like we are looking at three different teams, who is like a developers, then we have security team, and then we have some sort of platforms teams. And then, yeah, you just guess who is who here. So when we're talking about DevSecOps, and you always come and everyone will say, DevSecOps, and everyone will say, we are shifting left, right? It's actually I think from the development teams, it looks like kind of like pushing and shoving left rather than shifting. So it's usually like, bunch of alerts and things that are flying your way, and then you guess how to deal with them, but make sure that there is no more alerts. And yeah, so, and then I thought, well, because a lot of happening in this DevSecOps here, right? We got all these cool tools, which is like static code analysis and like all this containers runtime analysis and other things. And it was like, well, a lot is going on. I thought maybe it's actually enough. Maybe we don't need to look at like how devs are coming into play. And then I was like, yeah, so I had all these doubts. So I went to the OWASP top 10, and then I looked through the top 10, and then I thought, well, it's actually probably we still not covering a lot of the issues that is happening in the moment. Some of the examples, like where I worked on the projects, would be like, well, the latest one was this web application. You log in, you get your token, and then the JWT, which is cookies, actually timed all right, but the token behind it, it would live forever, and it's just like forever. So like anyone could use it, even like if you fired from the company and stuff, you could still use it, and it would still let you log in and stuff. And even though the application went through all of this, like all the security tests, penetration testing, and other things, but it was still there. And then, yes, and this is broken access control. And then in security design and others, they're still, I would think that they're unsolved. The cool thing about it, right, it's like a top 10, and like, I believe 5 is like something that we can cover right now. So just using the existing practices and tools, we probably could be there. And then, yeah, so I still had my doubts, so I went to the website of the, that one was from the like cyber.gov.au, which is Australian one, and looked at the number of security incidents, and it's still growing, which is, not sure why, given how much we actually focusing on the security, but looks like the other side is still doing better than we are. And so what did I come up with is very generic and broad, which is all about change within and tech enablers, but then I'll just go a little bit deep into them and see how I think it might be different. So all about that's like actually how we can make life of all the parties easier. And the big thing about DevOps, for example, is that it's actually sometimes work out quite all right, because there was a definite incentive for developers, right? So instead of going and asking to provision the database, now you can actually provision database by yourself. So, and that's, I guess, where the difference is between like a DevOps and DevSecOps. There is no such like a visible incentive for developers. Why would they even be bothered with security, right? It's not making their life easier. And then probably the same when we say, security, you guys should just collaborate better, so maybe we just make security people to review the pull request, and you're like, good luck. So now they need to learn all the programming languages and stuff. So I think it's quite working. And that's where the second item is coming into play, is that, so leadership, because of that, so I was on the projects where this DevOps would work out quite all right just by itself, like naturally, when there would be a good collaboration between dev and platforms team, and then platforms team would say, we can't do this because we are preparing the platform and stuff, and devs would just go away and learn CloudFormation on Terraform and just start doing things. And then it's depending on like how good relations were, it would be either like platforms say, don't touch it, we'll finish it and then you can use it, and then it just doesn't work. And on the other hand, sometimes it would be like, we just give you this like a sandbox account or project and you can start doing it, and then it's actually worked out quite all right a few times in my experience. And then I guess the point is that with the DevSecOps, I don't think that's possible. We really need like involved leadership teams, just because there is no such like easy incentives and stuff. And then leadership teams should also be aware of like that if you want to create more collaboration, then you probably need more, either like more people or shift your plans, like roadmaps and other things. But then this is like why I believe like everyone should be on board in this process to get it going. Yeah, so another thing is like a change within. So we probably, well, as I showed you that Rolling Stone, at the moment what's happening, it's more like a security try to impose the rules and things on developers rather than kind of empower them and show them what it's all about. And then this is, I guess, flashbacks back to the DevOps, where like there would be like a couple of developers who are interested, and then they will start kind of moving things like using infrastructure as code and other stuff, and then you get kind of your champions and the people who will talking with each other. So I believe that's actually could be quite useful with the DevSecOps as well. And like we actually got quite a few good practices there at the moment. So we can look at the threat modeling and abuse cases. And I guess, so the threat modeling abuse cases, the idea is that in the dev world, you might have those feature inceptions where like UI, UX, your BA, front-end, back-end developer would come like into one room just before starting some features. So like a business asks for a feature, then they will get together and they'll start talking about how it could look like. And then, like a UI, UX could come up with some things, and like front-end devs might say, well, it actually will take like 10 times longer. Maybe we can remove that button, do that. So there is actually like very good discussion happening. And then back-end developer could chip in and they could behave with all the business rules and stuff. But then, so maybe we could also add security person into the mix and then start looking into like what this feature could look like from security point of view. So, and that's, there is already a threat modeling manifesto. We have manifestos for everything, right? Whatever is happening, you'll get manifesto. And then abuse cases. The other thing that I thought is that hackathon for real, like in terms of like, can you actually, you wrote your application, can you like try and hack it? Kind of like also could be driven by security people, like getting everyone together, teach people like how to run, I don't know, Nmap and Netcat, like use all this, like, run the exploits and things, just like try and trash it. And it would be interesting. I wouldn't mind being part of one of those Well, the other thing is that I guess, with the DevOps stuff, like many people, well, some developers would be like, oh, well, I actually want to be DevOps, and then we got this platform engineers, which is kind of then elevated, and it's pretty much that one incentive that I mentioned about what it could be. Maybe we can have like a, I don't know, title like security developer, really secure developer, and then you just get your pay rise, right? So this is kind of how it could also be driven from leadership perspective, right? To get more people into it, more developers into it. This one is from Agile, so we kind of like, you walk into every company and they would be Agile, but in fact it's like, it's mostly like kind of those Scrum ceremonies, and then if you look at how the product is developed and is a company actually trying to deliver the value in in a shortest period of time and then iterate on it, it's not really happening. It's like still like this old good waterfall. And then when I was kind of thinking about that, I thought, well, it's all because it's all kind of going from the top very wrong, like in terms of like how projects are financed, and then you say, oh, maybe we deliver this MVP, and they say, well, no, we like once we deliver something that they might take our budget, right, and we won't get any more money, so they want we want to deliver it in one big bang. And it's all kind of starting from there. And then I thought, well, and you can see that many companies still operate in this waterfall way, and it's working quite well for them. So I came with the conclusion that not all companies need Agile, and some companies are actually quite alright with waterfall and like with the feature velocity and how they're going with it. So I guess, when you think about DevSecOps and like why even do you want to bother with this? Because on the other hand, you can probably do it the cheap way, like use like if you look at the, I don't know, latest frameworks and SaaS services and stuff, there are quite a few things there that you can already leverage, and then it will cover a lot of the things like those application flows and things. So maybe that's an answer. But I guess it's just so when you're trying to go through this change, you probably need to understand that it will hurt your velocity and will require more time for collaboration for all the parties to come together, but it will make your application more secure. And then all this kind of leads into make your application more secure, what the metrics are, and how do we measure it. And then it's all going kind of back to that, how can you get the leadership on board, and so they can then show what are they improving doing all of this. And and this is the third one, but it's essential one, because if you think about again DevOps, we tried to do it before and it didn't really work before we got the Terraform, before we got cloud and Terraform, right? You wouldn't imagine DevOps working with like on-prem systems where you need to like create a new server if you want a new database, and it even didn't work with the VMware stuff and like with the others. So when we got all this virtualization, it still was a problem of like so we didn't have the tool of collaboration. So that's kind of, I think essentially that we must have those tech enablers to get the whole process moving and flowing. And if you look at what we have at the moment, and then there is that, well, there are so many of those things flowing and that called DevSecOps, but there is no except the threat modeling when you're planning, there is no good items where dev and security can actually collaborate naturally. So there is one that is like kind of like, it's called fuzz testing, and then the idea is that it's your unit test, but then the inputs are generated automatically, and then it will just go through all of the different inputs. And I gave actually that small meetup talk on a Golang meetup. So it's kind of getting more popular and getting there. But again, like this is more of like initiative that developers can do to kind of get closer to the to the security, which is probably a very good step forward. But again, like I don't think that like security team necessarily can actually like go into this and like make sure that it's very secure. And that's really like what we have at the moment. I don't think there are like any other tools that that we got at the moment, which is if you're planning your next startup or something, that could be a very good space to be in. And yeah, you can look at the, let's say, like at Terraform, because I think it's actually, it was very good because when it just came up, it was very declarative. So you can actually, you could easily, given that, let's say, platforms team didn't have at that point of time a lot of experience in actually programming, being a declarative helped a lot. And then developers could also understand it on like a simple concepts. And then all the documentation, the fact that it was open source, right? It's not anymore, from what I heard. But yeah, you could start from open source and then see you got that path already there. But yeah, so I think it was like just a one binary, right? You didn't need anything else. Like if you want to store your state locally, you could store it state locally. So let's say even like if you compare it to CloudFormation and stuff, it's much harder to start working with it. That's why like I think that in DevOps, that Terraform, it's kind of became the tech enabler that actually pushed the whole culture. So yes, you need culture, but without tech enablers, I don't think that it's going to work just on the culture. So yeah, good news, DevSecOps. We're halfway there. Like I think SecOps is actually working very well, and we are covering a lot of things that hasn't been covered. My Wi-Fi died, but yeah, the bad thing is we are halfway there. So, and thanks a lot.